companion whose mother used to beat him so much in his childhood? But why? The companion who broke a man's hand as a teenager? What happened next? The companion who got severely injured and was surrounded by enemies? Did he survive? The companion who entered a fortress full of deadly disease? What was the outcome? The companion who was so close to Prophet Muhammad but narrated very few hadiths? Why? The companion who was one of the richest men of his time. What was his secret to success? And many more untold stories. This is the side of Zubair that no one told you about. May Allah be pleased with him. So watch till the end, or regret it later. Zubair wasn't just tall, handsome, and strong. He was also one of the bravest and smartest companions of Prophet Muhammad's. But behind his courage, there was a secret. That secret was his mother, Safiya. May Allah be pleased with her. From the time Zubair was a small child, his mother started training him to be brave and strong. She didn't just guide him with words, she pushed him hard. She made him do difficult tasks and face tough challenges. But her way was very strict. Sometimes she used to beat him so much, people around her were shocked. One day, Zubair's uncle saw this and got angry. He said, "Will you beat this child so much that he dies? Why are you being so harsh?" He even asked other family members, "Why don't you stop her?" But Safiya had a reason, a powerful reason that no one expected. She replied, "If anyone thinks I beat him because I hate him, they are wrong. I beat him so he becomes wise, so he becomes strong, so he can defeat armies one day." Her words were not just an explanation, they were a prediction. Her strict training was turning Zubair into a fearless warrior, and soon her training started to show results. One day in Mecca, a young Zubair got into a fight with a man. With just one strong punch, he broke the man's hand. Everyone was shocked. They took the injured man to his mother Safiya, thinking she would scold her son. But what she said surprised everyone. But instead of saying sorry or scolding Zubair, Safiya asked just one question. How did you find Zubair in the fight? Was he brave or was he scared? Her words left everyone silent. She wasn't angry. She wasn't shocked. She was proud because she was preparing him for something much bigger. Zubair's courage wasn't just his own. It came from his mother's strict training and her tough love. She raised him to be strong, fearless, and ready for battle. Because of her, he became one of the greatest warriors in Islamic history. He would face mighty armies, dangerous sickness, and even death itself, but never with fear. Zubair was only 16 years old when he accepted Islam. He was young, but in courage, patience, and sacrifice. He was never behind anyone. Not long after he became Muslim, a rumor spread in the city of Mecca that the disbelievers have captured Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. When Zubair heard this, he didn't wait. He didn't think twice. He picked up his sword and ran straight through the city to find the Prophet. When he reached him, he saw that the Prophet was safe. The Prophet looked at him and smiled and said, "That's Zubair. What is this?" Zubair replied, "O Messenger of Allah, I heard you were captured, so I came." When Prophet Muhammad heard Zubair's words, he smiled with joy and made dua for him. This was a historic moment. For the first time, a young boy had picked up a sword for Islam. No one had ever seen such bravery from someone so young. But back then, accepting Islam was not easy. Whenever someone accepted Islam, the disbelievers would capture them and torture them in terrible ways. They wanted to scare people away from Islam and force them to worship idols. Zubair went through the same pain. And the hardest part? His own uncle was one of the people who tortured him the most. His uncle tried everything to make him leave Islam, but Zubair stayed strong. No matter what they did, he never gave up his faith. When nothing worked, his uncle became even more cruel. He tied Zubair inside a mat and lit a fire underneath it. Smoke filled the air. Zubair could barely breathe, but even then, he did not give in. Every time they tortured him, Zubair would say, "Do whatever you want. Give me all the pain you can, but I will never leave Islam. I will never become a disbeliever." His faith was unshakable. His bravery was unmatched. Later in his life, Zubair became a hero in every battle for Islam. The first was the Battle of Badr. In that battle, Zubair showed incredible courage. Wherever he went, the enemy's lines broke apart. One moment stood out. He saw a disbeliever wearing full iron armor. Only the man's eyes were showing. Zubair aimed carefully and threw his spear straight into the man's eye. The spear went through his head and came out the other side. Zubair then sat on the body and tried to pull the spear back out. It was stuck so deep. By the time he pulled it out, the tip had bent. Prophet Muhammad was amazed. He took that bent spear as a memory, a symbol of Zubair's bravery and wisdom. That same spear became a sacred relic, passed down by the caliphs of Islam for generations. Zubair's bravery in the Battle of Badr was something people never forgot. His sword had deep notches from striking the enemy again and again, and his body? It was full of wounds, like holes in a sieve. One wound was so deep, it left a mark on him for life. But his bravery didn't stop there. In the Battle of Uhud, something terrible happened. Due to a mistake by the archers, the Muslims' victory turned into defeat. The disbelievers launched a sudden attack. Only 14 companions stayed with the Prophet Muhammad. Zubair was one of them. He stood like a shield around the Prophet, ready to die protecting him. Time after time, Zubair showed his deep love for Islam and for the Prophet through his fearless actions. His bravery was so powerful that the Prophet once said to him, "May my parents be sacrificed for you, O Zubair." That was the highest honor anyone could receive. Zubair also fought bravely in the Battle of Khaybar. There was a strong Jewish warrior named Marhab who was killed by the Muslims. His brother Yasser came out angry and challenged the Muslims that who will fight me? Zubair stepped forward. Yasser was huge and strong. Even Zubair's mother Safiya became worried. She said to the Prophet, "O Messenger of Allah, today my son will be martyred." But the Prophet was calm. He replied that no, Zubair will kill him. And that's exactly what happened. After a fierce fight, Zubair defeated Yasser, proving once again why the Prophet had so much faith in him. Then came the Battle of Hunain. After the conquest of Mecca, the enemies were hiding in the mountains and valleys, watching the Muslims. When they saw Zubair entering a valley, one of them shouted, "That tall rider is Zubair. Be careful, he attacks like a storm." Suddenly, many enemies jumped out and attacked him. But Zubair wasn't scared. He fought back with lightning speed and amazing courage. He attacked with such power that he cleared the whole area by himself. Yes, he single-handedly defeated all the enemies hiding in that valley. After the conquest of Mecca, just a few days later, our beloved Prophet Muhammad passed away. Zubair was heartbroken. He stayed sad for a long time. The Prophet was not just his leader, he was like family. Time passed. The Caliphate of Abu Bakr came and went. Then came the rule of Umar. May Allah be pleased with both of them. During his rule, a great battle began. The Battle of Yarmouk in Syria. This was a huge war between the Muslims and the Roman Empire. Who would win? Who would control Syria? Zubair couldn't sit back. He said to himself that I am a brave man. Sitting at home doesn't suit me. I must fight. He took permission from Caliph Umar and went straight to the battlefield. When the battle started, the fight was intense. Some soldiers said to Zubair that if you ride straight into the heart of the enemy army, we'll follow you. Zubair looked at them and said that you're not like me. You won't be able to keep up. But they insisted that we promise, we'll go with you. So Zubair moved forward. He rode alone into the middle of the enemy army, cutting through them like a sword through cloth. He went from one side of the enemy ranks to the other, but when he looked back, no one had followed him. And now the enemy had surrounded him. They grabbed his horse's reins and attacked him from all sides. He was badly injured. 2 deep cuts on his neck left marks that stayed on his body forever. Years later, his son Urwa would say that after the wounds from the Battle of Badr, these were the second wounds that never left my father's body. Even though Zubair was badly wounded in Yarmouk, but he didn't stop. He kept fighting with unshakable courage. His enemies were shocked. They had never seen a warrior like him before, and eventually, they ran away in fear. This is how Allah gave victory to the Muslims, and Syria became part of the Islamic world. But Zubair's journey didn't end there. During the campaign of Fustat in Egypt, Caliph Umar sent an army from Medina to help the Muslims. He said, "I am sending you 10,000 soldiers and 4 exceptional commanders. Each of these commanders is equal to 1,000 soldiers." One of these commanders was Zubair. The battle went on for 7 long months. There was no victory, no defeat, just a brutal stalemate. One day, Zubair stood up and said that today, "I will give my life for Allah." He picked up his sword and climbed the fortress wall with a few other brave companions. As they reached the top, they shouted, "Allahu Akbar!" Their voices echoed across the battlefield. The entire Muslim army below shouted with them. The ground shook. The people inside the fortress panicked. They thought that the Muslims have entered. Fear spread like wildfire. The Christians fled in chaos. Zubair opened the main gate from the inside, and the Muslim army rushed in. Victory was finally achieved. When the king of Egypt, Makakis, saw this, he requested peace. The Muslims accepted. No one was harmed. Everyone was safe. Zubair's courage had once again opened the gates of victory. He wasn't fighting for fame, wealth, or status. He fought with only one thought, that I must help Islam win, even if I lose my life doing it. The same happened in the conquest of Alexandria. The battle lasted for months, but Zubair led from the front, and after endless struggle, the Muslims were victorious. Zubair wasn't just brave with a sword, he had one of the purest hearts in the Ummah. His life was filled with goodness and honesty. He hated greed. He always spoke the truth, and he would give up his own comfort to help others. He was fearless on the battlefield, but in front of Allah he had a soft, trembling heart. Even small things would make him cry. He feared the hereafter, even though he was already given the news of Jannah in this world. But what truly shined in him was his taqwa, his deep fear of Allah. He feared Allah greatly and always advised others to do the same. This can be seen in the fact that even though he was very close to Prophet Muhammad, he narrated very few hadith. His son Abdullah once asked him, "Father, why don't you narrate hadith like others do?" Zubair replied that, "My son, I spent as much time with the Prophet as others did. But one saying of the Prophet made me very cautious." Then he narrated the hadith, "Whoever lies about me intentionally, let him prepare his place in hell." That one hadith was enough to make him cautious for whole life. Zubair also stood for fairness and justice. He didn't let emotions cloud what was right. After the Battle of Uhud, his uncle, Hazrat Hamza, was martyred. His sister sent 2 shrouds for him, but nearby, an Ansari companion lay without even one. Zubair couldn't accept that, so he cut the 2 shrouds in half, measured the pieces, and then drew lots, leaving the final decision to Allah. That was his character, just fair and humble. He had no fear of death. His heart beat only for Allah. During the siege of Alexandria, people warned him, "Don't go up the walls. There's a deadly plague inside." But Zubair said that we came here for death and the plague. Why should we fear it? He climbed the walls without hesitation, because his mission wasn't about living long. It was about living truthfully for Allah. He was known for his trustworthiness and honesty. When people were close to death, they didn't call lawyers. They called Zubair. Even the greatest companions all entrusted him with their children and wealth, because Zubair was a man of pure heart and clean hands, someone you could trust in this life and rely on for the next. Zubair wasn't just trustworthy with other people's wealth, he was incredibly generous with his own. He was always at the front lines of giving, spending in the path of Allah without hesitation. He had 1,000 slaves working for him. Every day they earned huge amounts of money. But guess what? He never kept a single coin for himself or his family. Whatever came in went straight out in the path of Allah. And the more he gave, the more Allah gave him back. Barakah flowed through his life like a river. He was not just a warrior, but also a master of trade. Whatever business he touched, it never failed. Never. And that wasn't his only source of income. He also received shares from battles, the spoils of war. Want to know how rich Zubair became? His wealth reached 50,200,000 dirhams or dinars. But this wasn't just gold. It was land, homes, farms. In Medina alone, he had 11 houses. And more, 2 houses in Basra, 1 in Egypt, 1 in Kufa. He was given fertile land in Khaybar by the Prophet himself. He farmed with his own hands near Medina. Caliph Abu Bakr gave him land in Harf. Caliph Umar gifted him property in a beautiful, airy place just outside Medina. Why did all this come to him? Because he spent without fear. Because he gave without limits. Because he lived only for Allah. Zubair was not just a warrior. He was not just a leader. He was a loving husband and a devoted father. He had deep love for his family, especially his son Abdullah and his beloved grandchildren. So deep, he even reserved a portion of his inheritance just for them. He raised his children with care and courage. At just 10 years old, he took Abdullah to the Battle of Yarmouk, put him on a horse, placed him in the hands of a trusted man, so his son could see bravery with his own eyes. Despite all his wealth, Zubair lived a simple life. He wore plain clothes, ate simple food, but when it came to battle, he wore the best clothes. He loved weapons, especially his sword. Its handle is beautifully engraved. He spent on his family. He spent on the poor, but he spent even more preparing for battle in the path of Allah. He had 4 wives and 18 children, and he lived for 64 years. And then he was martyred in Sajda, prostrating to his Lord. What an ending to a life of sacrifice. Look at his life closely. You'll see every beautiful quality of a true companion, one by one, shining. Zubair was more than a warrior, more than a businessman, more than a father. He was a symbol of faith, a symbol of sacrifice, a symbol of unshakable love for Allah and His Messenger. His life teaches us real bravery, true honesty, and what it means to give everything for the sake of Allah. This is just the beginning. The lives of the companions are oceans of inspiration, filled with courage, filled with love, filled with stories that will change your heart. So if you want to dive deeper into their lives, subscribe now, hit the bell icon, and join us in the next episode, where we explore the story of another legendary companion. Because these aren't just stories, they're our guide, our path and our light. Until then, remember their sacrifices, follow their footsteps, and strive to become the best version of yourself.